I'm Qobo Mayisa, and I am a church leader from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a beautiful country. It has perhaps some of the friendliest people in the world. Unfortunately, because of the situation that has been there in the last 10 years, because of the political problems the country has gone through, the people themselves have gone through tremendous hardship. The economy totally collapsed, and the Zimbabwean currency itself was absolutely worthless. People won't believe this, but until early last year, Zimbabweans had to contend with denominations, notes going up to the trillions. So there was a $1 trillion note. And you would ask yourself, how much would you buy with $1 trillion? Well, it was probably enough for about 2 eggs. Unfortunately, there was currency shortages. So even though people worked, they couldn't get their money because the country didn't have any money. And so most sectors in the country just deteriorated. There's the health sector, education, in fact, the entire infrastructure crumbled. The other day, I was visiting a relative in the townships, and we saw coming towards us a young child, probably between the age of 8 and 10, pushing a wheelbarrow. And as they came close to us, well, we never thought anything of it, well, it's a child pushing a wheelbarrow. But as they came close to us, we noticed that there was a person, a human being in that wheelbarrow. And when she came adjacent to us, we noticed that it was a woman, a very emaciated woman, very thin. And she looked unconscious. She didn't look alive. And when I saw that, I was shocked. And I stood there and I stared at this. And I thought, no, this is not right. This little child is pushing a wheelbarrow with somebody, maybe it's the mother, who's possibly dead. And they're probably taking them to a clinic somewhere in the townships, because there was a clinic nearby. There was supposed to be a clinic nearby. But it shocked me, and I felt a stab in my heart, really, to see a young child possibly pushing a wheelbarrow, with her mother, who was either unconscious or probably dead. And I thought, this is not right. People are dying of diseases which are treatable simply because the medication is not available, or there are no health staff to treat people. A year ago, more than 4,000 people died of cholera, which is a treatable disease. No one should die of cholera. But 4,000 people died simply because there were no basic medication to treat the people who had the infections. And there's a risk that we could see the repeat of people dying from diseases that can be so easily treated. And that is because the infrastructure in the country has broken down, and the country is not able to support its own people. And the people are now subject to such, deep levels of poverty and despair. And that is why organizations like the World Vision, who are experienced in the area of helping communities, aid and development, that's why they're working on Zimbabwe. And that's why we need to support them, because they are making a difference in looking after all these vulnerable people. If no one helps Zimbabwe, if no one helps those children I'm talking about who are living on the streets, no education, no one to feed, no one to look after, if no one helps the country to revive its health sector, we're going to see more and more young children pushing wheelbarrows with their dead parents on the streets of Zimbabwe. We're going to see more and more young children scrabbling for food on the streets, scrabbling for bits of grain on the highways, rather than going to school so they can learn and be empowered, so that they can achieve for themselves and be able to produce for themselves in the future. I believe that the situation in Zimbabwe is reversible. I believe that children can go to school, they can find food, they can be given shelter. I believe that the vulnerable people, the women, the sick, can find help. So it is an opportunity for you to do something for Zimbabwe, to change the life of a child, probably change the destiny of somebody who's had no hope, and you're giving them hope. And you're working with World Vision, which is a reputable, experienced organization in the area of aid and development. And so your resources are going to be put to good use to help those people who are in desperate need in Zimbabwe. And I believe that if we help Zimbabwe in this hour, in a few years' time, we can all look back and see a prosperous country with children playing on the streets, with children going to school, graduating, becoming doctors, engineers, becoming workers who contribute to the welfare of their nation. People who participated and supported Love Running will be able to look back and see the smiling faces, the children who would have been educated and had started contributing towards their own nation and their own development, the families that they would have fed, who are now self-sufficient and able to support themselves. And you look back and say, I was part of that.